You're listening to Music Tectonics.
Welcome back to Music Tectonics. I'm your host, Dmitri Vietze. I'm the CEO and founder of Rock, Paper, Scissors, a music tech PR firm. And here at the Music Tectonics podcast, we look beneath the surface to look at the different trends in technology and innovation that are changing everything in the music industry. And I'm really excited today because I have Fabrice Sergent, the managing partner from Bandsintown, a great platform for all things touring, but so much more. We'll find out now. Fabrice, how are you doing?
Hey, Dmitri. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me today. Hello, everybody.
It's a pleasure. Fabrice is calling in from New York, where he's based. And I think we should just kick it off. I'm assuming that a lot of our listeners know about Bandsintown, but just explain the Bandsintown model just overall to start, and then we'll get updated with what you've been up to.
Well, Bandsintown is a music marketing group that helps connect essentially music fans, artists, and brands who wants to interact with music fans using music as a passion point. We do that through the famous app that I hope everybody know and use and hopefully love, that helps find out when your favorite artists come to town, and that's the Bandsintown concert app. We also have this Bandsintown for Artists platform, which enables artists to publish tour dates and directly engage with their fans. And we offer this worldwide marketing solutions called Bandsintown Amplified, which enables essentially to market fans and to engage with fans using music context.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and follow up on that last one. What does that mean exactly with Bandsintown Amplified?
Well, we have so our reach. We reach overall 130 million music fans per month, unique fans per month through this overall platform. Within that platform, we do have 50 million registered users that are registered to the Bandsintown app, and app and emails and using the various form of access to Bandsintown. About 500,000 artists that have opened an account on Bandsintown for Artists. And then the rest of the users are music fans visiting sites that we don't own, but we help monetize. So that's why we chose to focus really on, let's call it a niche, which is passion for music enthusiasts. But we are trying to offer brands and our clients like a scalable solution, certainly a worldwide solution, and a very relevant solution to market music fans using music taste as a way to reach them and a way to communicate with them.
Well, this is interesting. I introduced you talking about a touring platform, and the app is called Bandsintown. The company's called Bandsintown, but the way you describe it is broader than just touring. Is it true that the initial emphasis was kind of a platform for syndicating tour dates, for letting people know in real time when bands that they already like are coming near them?
Yes. Essentially, the starting point was that first of all, the app started a long time ago on Facebook, and we acquired actually a Facebook app called Bandsintown as mobile publishers. But at the time, so the app was very much focusing on enabling artists to post tour dates to their fans. What my partner and I, Julian, wanted to build is some sort of an equivalence to Fandango for, what Fandango is helps you find movies. Right. For live music, because we really we've been working and we've been best friends for more than 20 years, I should say. And what really makes us be so far together and be such best friends is our joint passion, our shared passion for live music. And so we couldn't find a guide that would enable us to discover shows, find tickets just as easily as there was on for movies. So that's the original. You're absolutely right. The starting point was how do we help artists being discovered, and how do we help fans go to more shows?
And
And that's still what we do passionately and at scale, by the way.
right. But what I hear in the subtext of how you introduce the company now is that you've now taken this concept that you are collecting these tour dates from the artists and so forth, and then pushing them out to fans that are relevant at relevant times. So now you've created this bridge between the artists and the fans, primarily around touring. But then on top of that, you're amplifying those tour dates even further with partnerships elsewhere on third-party sites and platforms. And so now you have this other bridge that's created where you can now help those artists reach the audiences of those third-party platforms. You're displaying tour dates there, but now there's this other opportunity. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's through. Most recently, let's pick that as it's. We just announced a partnership with Billboard, and Billboard just announced that they're going to position and use Bandsintown tour dates across their web properties and contextually. So it's live. Actually, you can check it for yourself. They now have artist pages where you can find the tour dates of such artists. So yes, that's one way that we found to expand and our reach. The other way is by bringing unique monetization solutions to sites that are really focused on music. And for that, we partnered with the largest music streaming companies. The biggest names that have activities worldwide. We partnered with them to create a very unique ad unit that's essentially a music player that we also offer to these websites and mobile websites and apps, which enables these music streaming companies to find new subscribers. So we really help essentially brands, music streaming companies, event promoters, music advertisers in general, like music labels, to advertise contextually and to really engage with passionate music fans. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do that at scale and globally.
So you're giving up an advertising platform where people can get their ads onto websites that are music specific. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then in addition to that, you're driving fans to go back to subscribe to some of the music streaming services and then monetizing that way as well.
Yeah, every day, so in general, Bandsintown drives about 500,000 people every day to ticketing websites. Each of every day, 500,000. We help. I cannot really disclose numbers, but very large number of people indeed to discover music streaming offers. We also help merch companies. So we are essentially helping the music ecosystem monetize and find new clients. But at the same time, the good thing is that all the services we provide to the artist, all the CRM platform that we provide to the artists for free, what I call Bandsintown for Artists, all this platform is offered for free, and so we contribute value to the artist. We are not extracting value from the artist; we're extracting value from the rest of the ecosystem.
What does the artist do from this artist platform?
So about 500,000, a little bit more, have taken the time to register on this artist platform, and it's obviously the artist, their teams, the labels that potentially manages their digital life. But in general, it's 65%, 70% of all artists on tour at any moment of time in America. And what they do is they can first and foremost they publish their tour dates. So that's and we hope that by publishing it once on Bandsintown, they understand that it goes for sure. It's going to be surfaced on Bandsintown. It's going to go. We have specific agreements with Facebook, with Google, with Alexa from Amazon, now with Billboard. So it's not only Bandsintown; it goes everywhere, and that's the first, let's say, basic usage that they have of this platform. Then we provide them for free very convenient tools to enable them to display their own tour dates on their own media properties. So on their website, on their mobile sites, on their Facebook page, and we even provide them with a landing page that they can post on social networks or display on Instagram. And the beauty is that they have nothing else to do but just to take a small piece of code and embed that code. And automatically, the dates that they published once on the platform will show up with the right ticket link, and the ability to follow them and everything that goes with it. So it's a time saver on one hand. It's also for them an opportunity to sell many more tickets, because at the end of the day, that I know that this is what they want to do. So this is what we're trying to help them do, is to sell tickets. And from the team's point of view, it's a way to manage discrepancies. So the dates are the same across all platforms. There's no, Bandsintown becomes the official repository for their tour dates. So that's one big side of the platform. The other side is related to insights. So we provide them a lot of insights for free. We collect data from the fans. For example, things like Play My City. The fan can ask artists to come and play in a specific city. We provide them with a heat map that shows where their fans are. We provide them with RSVP numbers and ticket sales. So they can see a lot of things related to their touring life. And lastly, but not least, we offer them for free a tool to message their fans on Bandsintown. And when they send a message, 100% of the message goes to the fan, contrary to Facebook, for example, which asks you to pay to do so. So 100% of the messages go to fans, and it goes to fans via email or via push notification on the phone. So it's pretty powerful, and that gives them another audience, if you want, to interact with. And usually this audience on Bandsintown are the super fans. They are the core fans, if you want. So it's a very interesting audience to engage with.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool set of tools. Have you seen or heard some success stories on the Play My City? Because I've seen a lot of kind of apps and platforms emerge that say that they're able to do this, and it's always the how do you build up enough fans and enough bands to know that this is really going to work. But in your case, you already have those. Have you seen some cool success stories come out of that?
Well, we've been collecting and asking the fans these questions for a while. For the first time, like very soon, I'm talking about it because in July we will surface that back into the Bandsintown for Artists platform, so artists and their managers can really check this out. So the short answer to your question is no, because we've really not put some focus on this for probably the reason that you mentioned. Sure. Now we think it's a nice way to interact with the fans. Now with our new, let's say, revamped solution around Play My City, artists will be able to push on Instagram stuff like they're going to push it, that call to action. They'll be able to push it on Instagram to see if there are locations that people wants to, where people wants to see them. It's just a way to engage with the fans. I'm not saying that it's going to change the routing necessarily. We're a platform, so we're offering them tools. We'll see if that's efficient or not. I'm pretty convinced we will see nice and interesting stories.
Yeah, cool. No, I mean, it makes sense. If you are the platform where these exchange of information between artist and fan about tour dates is happening, it sure seems like it's the right place to test it out. I have another question. When you were talking about how you publish tour dates at Facebook and Google and through Alexa and so forth, and also create widgets that the artists themselves can use. I wanted to know if there are startups out there that want to surface tour dates. Is there an API available to them as well?
Yes. There is absolutely. If you go to the manager.bandsintown.com, you'll be able to find sections that describe how to upload tour dates, if that's the case. Well, yeah, you could bulk upload tour dates. So venues are uploading tour dates. We're getting tour dates from many different sources, actually. So venues can upload tour dates. Ticketing companies can provide tour dates. Artist management companies can bulk upload tour dates. So yeah, there are plenty of tools.
I'm actually talking about the other direction. So if there are websites or apps or platforms that just want to display tour dates, and they're looking for kind of like a big source for as many tour dates as possible, can they use an API or something?
The one that's called the public API is just valid for 3 months and for no commercial purposes. So that's a way to build a pilot and to use it in a very non-commercial environment. But of course we do have an API for partners, which we can grant access to. So if there are startups or whatever, we're not in the business of selling data. But if there's a good concept and something that we that doesn't compete obviously with Bandsintown, we are happy to provide access to the API.
Awesome. Great. We could hear a little bit of New York in the background there. Great. So I think we've got a good picture of kind of what you do now. Are there things that are emerging coming up? What's next that's coming from Bandsintown?
Well, we're trying to expand internationally. So one thing that we did a year ago was to translate the app in different languages, like 6 or 7. Since then, several markets really took off. I mean, it's obviously Bandsintown was used organically in different markets in English, especially by the artists actually. But this is accelerating big time. So we're focusing on Japan, UK, France, Germany, Spain. So this kind of so it's also available in Italian, Portuguese. So we have people on the ground now. We have people in the UK, in France, and Germany, in Tokyo, to help us grow. We feel that there are more and more international touring artists, not only Americans, but international artists. So we owe them to be able to surface their tour dates in context where, far away from home. So that's one of the interesting challenge that we set to ourselves, and it's growing quite nicely.
That makes sense. Yeah. At Music Tectonics, we talk about the seismic shifts happening beneath the surface. And one of the shifts that we identified is that music is more global than ever. And it's easy to see in the digital market place, because with the shift from physical to digital to streaming, you have this super efficiency. You don't have to move this physical product around anymore. With touring, it's still a challenge, but obviously platforms are helping with that type of thing too, where people can get the data flow of where to play and let fans know where they're playing and so forth. Makes a lot of sense. So I get that. That fits with a trend that we're looking at overall, is just how much more connected we are across territories.
Correct, and that's also that helps them create a following. It creates also, so lots of venues, promoters are looking at Bandsintown also as a source to check the viability of booking a certain artist. So it's fairly common in the US, but we're starting to be well known and perceived in all these countries. So yes, for let's say an international artist showing past tour dates on Bandsintown and certain kind of venues definitely helps being booked at the international level. It's kind of a passport if you want to.
That makes sense.
To tour. So that's one of the, and the other initiative we're still working on that's not very new, but we are extremely passionate about it. So I'm going to try to mention that is everything we do for emerging artists. So in my opinion, the live music is one of the last real tribal experience, if you want. So one of the experience that brings us all together. It's interesting also because it's also one of the last resort of freedom of speech, because that's on live music. There's much less censorship than in movies and TV, in many different book publishing, whatever. So we're very proud, frankly, and we feel it is our mission to help developing artists. So I'll share with you a number that I'm super proud of. 3 years ago, 36% of the ticket clicks, the 500,000 ticket clicks that I was talking about every day, the 36% of these ticket clicks went to shows of artists of less than 200,000 followers on Bandsintown. Today, it's 50%. So today we're sending half of the 500,000 people we send to ticketing company every day to shows of artists of less than 200,000 followers, which is a way to say that these are shows of artists that are, mid-size. Let's call it mid-size, small to mid-size. And we are doing this through our algorithm, but we are working very hard, to your point on what's next, to continue to improve the technology, the experience. We also launch our Big Break development program to help emerging and developing artists. We're never going to give up on that fight, if you want. This is an ongoing fight that takes lots of our resources, energy, and passion.
Why do you do that? Why? I mean, you're saying the algorithm almost is kind of sort of subjectively pushing people towards that, and I'm curious why that's a mission for you.
Because it brings diversity in culture. It's having impact on society. I think it's really, first of all, from a value standpoint, if you think about it, yes, we do alert people when the large artists come to town, and usually people, once they use Bandsintown, 70% of them admit that they hear first about a show from Bandsintown. So be it a large artist, a small artist, they hear it from us. And that's fine. But clearly, when we recommend, which is where we are so different from anybody else in the marketplace, neither Spotify nor Facebook nor, you name it, have such a sophisticated recommendation engine. When we recommend and our voice is strong enough so that it can be trusted, we do bring much more value than when we just alert. So the why is pretty simple. For the fan, it's more value because we help the fan discover artists they didn't know. For the artists, it helps them grow and flourish. And overall for society, as I said, it's a privilege to be able to think that we can have an impact on culture. So I think it's pretty cool.
It's extremely cool. Another one of our seismic shifts that we talk about are self-driving artists change everything. I think we're going to see more and more even traditional record label negotiations change as a result of the fact that more and more artists want to maintain ownership, if not of their masters, at least of their career decisions. And it's interesting to hear your philosophy behind this because I think we're going to see there's more music than ever as well, substantially more music than ever, certainly on the recorded side. And I think that's going to continue to increase on the performance side as well, because I think more and more people have tools for learning to play and building careers and so forth as well. So, I mean, I agree with you philosophically about bringing that diversity and culture into the mix. Absolutely. And it's just intriguing to hear from a business perspective because you sometimes run into where you've got a philosophy, but then you have these financial pulls to do things.
No, you're right. But it's look, if you want to plug the economics into that, there's at least a high level way to say that if this market is going to double or triple in the next 10 years, which is pretty much now every analyst predicts, it's not only going to only double or triple using on the basis of the existing artists. Just simply because mechanically the existing artists cannot produce more than a certain number of songs and single and shows every year. There's kind of there's no physical limitation for recorded music, but there's creativity and human limitation, which is good in a way. So there will be, yes, there are more and more songs. Some said too many. There are more and more artists. Overall, I'm thinking that's what we need to grow this business. And that's good for diversity, and that's good for freedom of speech, and that's great for the fans because they can interact and discover new songs, but also new people. Because I'm as much passionate, frankly, as personally as a fan, as I am as passionate about the artist as I am about the music. And I think that's part of what we want to convey with Bandsintown is that there are people behind the music, and they are just great. And so so I think it's all the stars are aligned. It's not only a philosophy. Economically, you'll see that in the next 10 years, the many new artists will emerge and develop and grow, I think.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to have your perspective on that. I want to back up and just ask you about that statistic. The market will double or triple. In what time period, and where are we getting this data from?
Well, there's several forecasts. There's been one that had been published by Goldman Sachs, and I know they're working on new updated forecast that apparently will be more optimistic, even more than what they had published in 2016. At the time that kind of forecasted that by 2030 it will double overall.
And are we talking about recorded music or?
We're talking about everything. So essentially, live music is growing by 9-10% a year. Recorded music is growing much faster. Overall, that's why it's. And if you include merch and licensing and stuff, they believe that it may grow from 50 to 100 million and 100 billion. Sorry, and maybe that's even more than that.
Got it. Yeah, I'd seen the Goldman Sachs thing. I was just curious if you were talking about live music. But that makes sense. I mean, they do go hand in hand as well. Okay, so when we step back 10,000 feet from this, what are some of the things you think about around innovations and the future of touring and ticketing and any other kind of experiences related to the aspect of the music industry that you guys are in?
Oh, that's a very good topic. There will be a lot of innovation. It's just moving quite fast. Sometimes in background because the fans don't necessarily realize it. But everything that's being done by ticketing company around presence, like Ticketmaster, around personal identification of the fans, so that they can be serviced at the location of the event, at the venue. So there's a lot of progress to be made around that. And that's happening right now. It may help also fight against fraud, and so all of this is super exciting. I think from both the fans and the artist side, the industry. I can see also things that are just changing fast around live streaming, and that's. I know it's been a debate. It's something that was kind of a hope several years ago, did not happen. I think the quality of the streaming, the evolution of the consumer base, in other words, more younger people getting old enough, let's say, to watch and to appreciate that online. I see more interest for live streaming. I see more interest also from the venues, from the festivals, to really offer a qualitative live streaming alternative to those who cannot attend a show. As far as I'm concerned, I can watch and observe that as an industry observer. I'll be happy to take advantage of it from a business point of view. There are people who are adding already live stream dates at the same time as they are adding tour dates into Bandsintown. So you may get an alert when the live stream starts. As far as I'm concerned, I'm observing because I feel that nothing is never going to replace the physical live event experience. And so I think it's complementary, but that's interesting. I mean, it's everything around that plus VR. This whole group of things can be exciting. So things are going to continue to evolve. I think we're not done.
Yeah, cool. Hey, are there particular live streaming platforms or apps that you're seeing getting more traction than others, especially in terms of people who are posting stuff within Bandsintown?
No, it's very diverse. It could be venues. I like the venues who like to see themselves as like a studio. It's not. It's interesting. It could be festivals, obviously, who are by far the biggest driver. Apps like Live Live are trying to explore this kind of new markets and businesses. And then you have other things. I'm thinking of specific performances that artists may consider for promotion purposes. So I think it's all over the. I don't think it's necessarily one. Bandsintown just opened a studio in New York. So if some artists or some of your clients are eager to get some promotion, we are happy to live stream them. So who knows?
Very cool. Yeah. No, I was just curious if you're seeing YouTube live streams or Facebook Live or Twitch or things like that actually popping up in tour schedules.
No, Twitch. Yeah, they do. They all. I mean, even TV stations are adding schedules on Bandsintown. So, if a music artist goes on air on TV, traditional TV, some are smart enough to put that into Bandsintown so that fans can be alerted that their favorite artist goes on air, and that's fine. I'm very comfortable with that. So I think tuning overall is an interesting, future for some of the music and industry, and so we can help. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Well, Fabrice, thank you so much for joining me on the Music Tectonics podcast. Great to get an update on everything that Bandsintown's up to. Love to get to hear more about your philosophy. So I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Dmitri, thank you very much for having me today. I admire a lot what you and your company do, and wish you good luck for the future. Let's connect soon.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Fabrice. And thank you for listening to the Music Tectonics podcast. If you could, please hit subscribe right now on your favorite podcast listening app. And make sure to check out musictectonics.com. We have blog posts, additional podcasts posted there, and information about our upcoming conference, the Music Tectonics Conference, taking place October 28th and 29th in Los Angeles. If you sign up for our newsletter, you get a $50 discount there. So I hope you can join us there and keep listening.
You're listening to Music Tectonics.